August 17th. We'll call the McLeod County Board of Commissioners to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, again, good morning, everyone. I guess my mic wasn't on. It's August 17th, and it's our day for the McLeod County Board of Commissioners. We'll start off today with the University of Minnesota. Karen.
Good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Karen Johnson. I am the Extension Educator here at the University of Minnesota. And every year we take the opportunity to honor a farm family from across our county for not only their contributions to their family farm, but also to their local community. This program was started through the University of Minnesota back in 1979 and really honors families throughout the state of Minnesota for their contributions to the agricultural industry. This program is not something that the university does on their own. We also partner with a number of different groups, including the College of Food, Agricultural, and Natural Resource Sciences, the College of Veterinary Medicine, the Minnesota Ag Experiment Stations, as well as Farm Fest. Each year, I actively solicit nominations from our local communities and get information about farm families that are deserving of this award. And then we have a committee that meets to discuss who should be selected and honored each given year. This year, our farm family, as well as in previous years, were recognized at the statewide presentation at Farm Fest, as well as in local newspapers, Facebook as well, and over the radio, and will also be recognized this Saturday during the awards ceremony during the McLeod County Fair, which is at 5:30 right before the 4-H auction. So with that, I do want to take the opportunity to introduce Kevin Miller. So if Kevin wants to come up, and I'll let him share a little bit about his family farm. But Kevin's family was actually nominated by several different groups across the county for not only some of the operations that they do, from a farrow to finished hog operation to a small cow-calf herd, but also just a number of other activities that they're involved in, from Emmanuel Lutheran Church down in Broughton to Penn Township Board, High Island Watershed Board, amongst a number of other things. And their kids and their family are really active in the local 4-H club as well. So with that, I'll give Kevin the opportunity to share a little bit more about his family and how their farm functions as well.
Morning, Kevin. Congratulations.
Morning, guys. Thank you. Most of you knows me or knew my dad, and our farm started in 1948 in Penn Township with my grandpa senior, Herman Miller, and then when he passed away, my dad took over the farm, and me and my dad farmed together for many years until Dad kind of semi-retired in early 2010, and then we kind of farmed together for many years, and after he retired, then the boys got together. So I know Karen talked about small cow-calf herd. That's kind of the boys' thing, and they're renting some land too now, and so it's a family operation that we've been working at for many years and enjoy it, and hopefully everything keeps going. And we're involved in the township, the community a lot. My late wife Brenda did a lot with the community. She worked at the Glencoe Regional Health for 27 years. She worked big time with the 4-H at the fair, so a lot of that credits to her. And we just enjoyed the community, so that's what we do. And I think that's where I'm at. I did appreciate the honor at this time, and we'll go from there.
And I just want to thank the Board of Commissioners for allowing us to come in and share this honor with you this morning. And if you do have any questions for either Kevin or myself about the program, we'd be able to take those now.
Well, I'm lucky enough to know Kevin. That's my home country out where he came from, so I did watch it go on. I mean, Kevin's a great guy. So I don't know if the rest of the board have any questions or comment for Kevin. Well-deserved award.
Thank you.
We see your family around the fair, the 4-H activities. You guys are all over. Thank you so much for being a great part of the community.
We enjoyed it. You know, it's an enjoyable time of the year. Congratulations. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, we'll take a photo with the commissioners, Karen and Kevin,
Okay.
and then Hannah will take them outside for a photo of just those two afterwards. So if you want to come up here, thank you.
Awesome. We'll have you stand. You're going in the middle? Yeah. Let's have you step. Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. Yep. Okay. Let's see. Everyone's. Do you want to take another step that way, Daryl? Thank you. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's do one more. Awesome. Thank you. And then I'll have a picture with you guys outside. Thanks, Rob. Thank you.
All right, moving on, consideration of agenda items. Is there any additions or corrections?
No changes, Mr. Chair.
With that, I'll take a motion to accept.
Move to approve, Mr. Chair.
Motion made by Commissioner Small. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Luthens. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda. Any additions or corrections to it? Motion made by Commissioner Nagel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Luthens. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Agendas are approved. COVID-19, Barrett. Good morning, Barrett.
Well, you had a small reprieve from me for a little bit, but I'm back, unfortunately. So with the number of increased cases and that Delta variant, we thought it would be good for me to continue to provide updates and just information of what's going on with the county. So as of yesterday, August 16th, McLeod County has had a total of 4,500 positive cases of COVID-19 since the start of the pandemic. 113 people have tested positive in the last 14 days, which is a significant increase from what we have seen in past weeks and months. Since March of this year, 13 people have been identified with cases of reinfection in McLeod County. So that means that they've had COVID prior and they've been reinfected again. So that's 13 cases since March of this year. We currently have 72 active cases. 1 resident is hospitalized, and our case rate for this week is 31.5. That is the highest it has been since May of this year, when school was still in session. Unfortunately, we have had 61 COVID-19 related deaths since the start of the pandemic. And as always, our dashboard on the county website is updated weekly on Mondays with the data that I just shared. Our COVID vaccination efforts. Public Health continues to offer COVID vaccines here at the McLeod County Government Center on a weekly basis. To date, we have held 56 vaccination clinics and administered 5,124 first doses, 3,857 second doses, for a total of 8,981 doses administered. We have 1 clinic scheduled this week on Thursday from 8:30 to 10:30 with about 10 appointments available. We continue to vaccinate with Moderna, which, as a reminder, is only for the 18 plus population at this point. If people are watching and are interested in getting a COVID vaccine from us, please go to our county website with information on how to register or get signed up. So some McLeod County COVID-19 vaccination statistics as a whole, as of August 12th, last week, 49% of people in McLeod County have received at least one dose. Of the 12-plus population, 57% have received at least one dose. The 16-plus population, 60% have received at least one dose. And of our 65-plus population, 86%, have received at least one dose. And that information is available and from the Minnesota Department of Health, the vaccine data website. So just some current news and updates for you. We found out yesterday that the $100 COVID-19 vaccination reward program has been extended an additional week. So that will go through August 22nd. So for anyone in Minnesota who gets their first dose from now until then, can submit for a $100 Visa gift card. On August 11th, the CDC strengthened its vaccine recommendation for people who are pregnant, breastfeeding, or trying to get pregnant, or might become pregnant in the future. Evidence shows that it is safe and effective, and our CDC is really trying to target that population, and we're supporting that. On August 13th, the CDC's Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, or often referred to as ACIP, signed a recommendation that endorses the FDA's decision to amend the emergency use authorization for vaccines for that third shot for people who are immunocompromised. Emerging data suggests that people who are moderately to severely compromised with their immune system, which is about 3% of the total population of the U.S., do not always build the same level of immunity compared to those who are not immunocompromised. So that has been approved. We have not, we don't have any more information about how that's going to affect us, what that means, who's going to be giving doses. What we do know is that the third dose vaccination will not begin until we get those recommendations. But what we are hearing is that if you started with Moderna or Pfizer, your third dose should be of the same type of vaccine. So that could mean a lot more vaccination clinics for us here at Public Health to help people of that population get their third dose of the same vaccine. Our South Central Health Coalition, which is a partnership of hospitals, clinics, local public health, emergency preparedness providers, they are seeing a large increase in bed usage in our region and having a lack of bed availability for those patients that are needing them. So hospitals are reporting their bed availability every 12 hours to make sure that we have beds in the area, and if not, where are beds located so patients can be transferred there in an appropriate amount of time. As you know, school is around the corner, and a number of schools have made decisions as to whether they are going to return masked or unmasked. We continue to support those schools. They call us with questions and concerns, and we will help them as much as we can. In-person instruction is the priority for this fall in the school year, and we will do what we need to help support those schools. So currently at McLeod County, we continue to host those vaccination clinics. We administer about 10 doses per week. We will do more if the need is there. We've begun our preparations to administer the third dose if needed, which we think we will definitely be asked of us. We've created a flyer that lists all the vaccination and testing providers in the area, which we have shared with all providers. We'll be at the McLeod County Fair, and we have also shared that with our Winstock coordinators so they can have that available for the upcoming weekend. We continue to post McLeod County related data every week at our website, and we will just continue to fight COVID as we have, and getting prepared for a pretty busy fall. Any questions?
Thank you, Bert. I do have a couple questions. There's a clarification. There's a difference for that third shot, whether you are at high risk or at low immune. From what I'm gathering, because of a personal situation, you can be at high risk and not be qualified for the third shot. You have to have a low immune system.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, that's a great question. What we have been told is it's people who have potentially had an organ transplant, or there's something that's really making them immunocompromised. And that is one of the things that we're still waiting for clarification on. What is that qualifying list that would allow people to be eligible for that third dose? And once we know, we'll share that information.
Okay, thanks. And the other question, or two more questions. One is, I happen to have some friends that, I mean, there's some COVID around right now, and I have friends that have it, and they're in workplaces or family, and some of the people that have, most of the ones I know didn't have a shot, but the family or work people have had shots, but they're turning around and testing positive, but with no effects. Now that still counts as a positive case, so is that correct?
It still counts as a positive case in terms of can infect other people.
Right.
They might have lower symptoms, which is great for them, not as an impact on their health, but they're still contagious, and they can still pass it on to other people.
Okay, and then the one more important question. You hear it on the news, and you just said it as well, that this round is kind of going at younger people. How come we don't have anything for, or what are they, if they so choose to get a shot, where do they go? Where do these younger people, 18 and under, go for a shot?
Well, so here at Public Health, we have the Moderna vaccine, which is for the 18 plus. A lot of our healthcare providers have Pfizer, which is for a younger population. So they can certainly call their regular physician, their provider, and get a vaccine that way. Or there's pharmacy options as well.
Okay, so there are
other options
available in the county.
Yes.
That's all I have. Board, have you got any questions?
You covered it, though. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor.
Have a great day.
You too.
Sheila?
I suppose I don't need to come up here and do this anymore, sorry. But
You're fine.
Easier. So for my COVID-19 update, I wanted to talk a little bit about the timeline of the ARPA funds, so the American Rescue Plan Act funds that we all keep hearing about that have been distributed to counties automatically, or there was a distribution allocated to counties automatically, and we had to apply for and receive those funds. And then that affects our townships and cities as well within McLeod County. So they, several of them have applied for and received their funds as well, but some are still in that deciding and trying to make a decision on whether or not to do that. Seeing if they have something that they feel is a fit for those funds. So we've been working with several of them to try and help them figure that out, if we can be helpful. Through our Coronavirus Relief Fund committee work, we try and find out more every single week. We met with Winstead Township this past week, hoping to meet with Silver Lake. I've talked to Stuart. Colleen Robeck, our finance director, has done a really good job of helping those townships and cities apply for funds when they need the assistance. We know that we have full-time staff here. Not all of them do. And if we can be resourceful for them, we are. So we applied for and received our funds in May and June of 2021 in McLeod County. Of course, you receive that in 50% tranches. So we have our first 50%. We'll receive the second 50% within a year of our first payment. That was around $6.9 million. Right now, our committee is working on creating allocation buckets, and that is not as easy as it sounds. And of course, it can't be concrete. That will need to be flexible. So we hope to bring something after October 1st, 2021 to the board to just tell you a little bit more about where those funds are suggested to be or recommended to be allocated. We need a little time. It changes, just like you know with CARES Act, the rules change as you go along. So we would need to be able to pivot if that happens as well. And we have these funds through December 31st, 2026, but we have to allocate them or dedicate them by December 31st, 2024. So if we say we're going to do a project by December 31st, 2024, and something happens in between those 2 years, as far as the rules go today, we can't change our mind. So we want to be very thoughtful and intentional with how we allocate those funds, and it is a big responsibility. Our group is doing a good job in researching. We have several people researching different areas and bringing information back. We brought 2 additional members from the county on to help us from a liaison point of view, Tim Langenfeld and Barrett Spores, and they've been helpful as well. Any questions with you'll hear it referred to as ARPA, the ARPA funds. Any questions with that? Clear as mud?
Comment is all, I mean, I'm on the committee, and I do get a couple of calls, why don't you do this, why don't you do that? It's not, I'm having a real difficult time understanding what we can and can't use it for, and I'm on the committee. So, I mean, but having said that, we have some time to make sure to do it right. I mean, it's not, like you said, the timeline from 24 is pretty good, but some of the things that people call me with, think you can use them for, and it's not that simple. I just want to emphasize that.
Thank you. I'm glad you're brave enough to say that in this room, because I know it's not easy. But it was good because Commissioner Kruger brought that up at our meeting last week. He's like, wait, I need to understand better what these funds are applicable for. And it just reminded us that we can't really take anything for granted as we go along, and we need to keep going over that on a regular basis, even with the group. So we are doing that again next week, reviewing the eligible expenses and not assuming that everyone knows. I met with the city administrators and city clerks, I believe 2 weeks ago in Winstead. We had a very good meeting. It was a really nice opportunity for them to talk about what they're going to do or what their ideas are, where they're at. And it was kind of refreshing to hear that only one city really had it all figured out, but they did the whole time, so we knew about that, but it was kind of nice to know that everyone's taking their time and trying to figure out what the best uses are for these funds. So we are going to continue meeting with townships and cities. If anyone watching this wants us to come and meet with their township or city, we're happy to do that. Or if you just want a meeting with us, a phone call, we're right here and available. And don't think I have anything else to add with that.
I'd just like to just echo what you just said, though. I mean, anybody that's thinking about applying, I would recommend.
The townships and cities applying?
Yep, absolutely to apply, because what have you got to lose? If it comes out to where you need it, that's the first step that should really be done.
Thank you for bringing that up, because that was a question at a couple of the meetings. And my thought on that is, you can only apply now. You can't go back in time and apply. So if you come up with a project in 2023 that you could have used that money for and you didn't apply, you're probably going to get a lot of flack for that. If you don't use the funds, they can be returned, right? Hopefully that's not what happens, because then they get spread out somewhere else, and you want them in your communities. However, it is an option. So it is best to apply and move forward. My understanding is that they haven't set a tight deadline on a date for the cities and townships, unless that's been updated very recently. So what they are doing is, once they set a deadline, the townships and cities that have not applied for their allocation, my understanding is they're going to take those funds that were set aside for them and spread them out to the cities and townships who did apply. So when these cities and townships are writing their resolutions, they should leave them with an open dollar amount in the case that they get allocated more funds throughout this timeline. And we want them to call in and ask for collaboration or help if they need it.
Any questions for Sheila?
Is there a cap to this?
There's a cap for each city, township, and county. So there's not where we can only use a certain percentage of our funds on a certain thing, to the best of my understanding. I mean, I'm sure some cities and counties will spend the majority on one project. No. The only cap is whatever you receive. You can use up to that. Does that make sense?
Huh?
Okay.
Is there individuals applying too?
No, it's only for cities, townships, and counties.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So the next thing with that, just so you know, we're having a second meeting with our city and township leadership on October 6th this year. 8 a.m. in Glencoe, 7 p.m. in Hutchinson. We will send out invitations to all of them. We don't have exact locations reserved yet, so I won't announce that, but that is all with ARPA.
Thank you, Sheila.
You're welcome. So also, county business and services is still going as it had been before this new influx that Barrett discussed with you. We're, of course, encouraging the social distancing and meetings. You still see it in this room here today. We do not have a mask mandate right now at the county level. We do know that some cities and counties throughout Minnesota have been considering or putting those in place, and a lot of businesses have been. However, we have no changes at this time. We still have our front lobby open at our government center and other buildings, and our services are open. We wanted to just say thank you again to Barrett and Health and Human Services for their 56 clinics and ongoing efforts. Last week, there was an employee event, and I noticed that several of those employees left to go finish a vaccine clinic. It was just nice to see that they're still dedicated to helping everyone in the community out. So thank you to them. I have nothing else.
Administration, Heather. Good morning.
Hi. Heather Jesuits, United Community Action Partnership. I'm the Community Services Director there. But I'm here specifically today to talk about our Fhpap resolution, which is Family Homeless Prevention and Assistance Program. United Community Action, we cover 9 counties. This would be our most eastern county, all the way down to the Iowa border. And then for emergency housing, we go all the way to the lower 4 counties of the state of Minnesota. For this specific funding, we're seeking your support in this resolution. It's a 2-year grant that begins October 1st, 2021 and goes through September 30th of 2023. We have applied for these funds for over 30 years. We used to be called Heartland Community Action. Most of you probably know that. So over 30 years, and every year, every biennium when we write a grant, we have to get county support. There is no financial request to the county for these funds. It is just a support initiative to make sure that we can continue to provide these services within the county of McLeod. The funds go towards things like first month's rent or damage deposit for families who are homelessness or sheltered, back rent for families who are at risk of being homelessness or lease violations due to non-payment of rent, mortgage prevention assistance, utilities, transportation, anything tied to housing that we can say these funds would help stabilize the family. Oftentimes when we come to the commissioners and present, they say, gosh, Heather, that sounds an awful lot like emergency assistance at the county level. And there are some overlaps in services, which we don't duplicate services, but we work really hard to partner with the county. So some families might use our Fhpap funds and also emergency assistance at the county level, because sometimes the needs are bigger than any one of us can do alone. So we really, really appreciate the partnership that we have with the county here in McLeod. Also, I'll say we just started and have an office up in one of the office community rooms up on 2nd floor here, because we know that a huge amount of the families we work with are from Glencoe as well as Hutchinson. And so by having an office here a few days a week, we're helping hopefully families have better access to our services as well. So again, with this resolution, we're just seeking your support in supplying our application for the next 2 years.
Nathan, have you got any, I mean, you're on the,
Yeah,
you're on
Mr. Chair,
UCAM. Go ahead.
I do serve on the UCAP committee, and I see the work that they do in our communities. And with that said, I'd like to move to approve resolution and support the Community Action Partnership, Resolution 21-CB-24.
Motion made by Commissioner Smalls to approve the resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Luthens. Any discussion? I do have some added discussion. I served on there before Nathan did, and I was with UCAP, and I've been advocating for several years that we're underutilized. I mean, this didn't come up just because of our situations today, and on the eastern part of the county. Hopefully now with Commissioner Smalls, it takes some activity and pushing along. I'm hoping the office upstairs helps, but there is a need to actually combine the services. There was you commented on it. I mean, there is not throwing good money after bad, my words, but to utilize money to make it more helpful to the people that are in need, and I think that number is going to grow. So
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. I appreciate your time. Have a great day.
Thank you, Heather. Mr. Langenfeld. Good morning.
I have two items today to consider. The first one is to enter into a contract with Geiken Guide and Guard LLC to instruct DARE at the GSL School District. As you know, we used to offer that through the Sheriff's Office, but Deputy Geiken has since retired, and we have not done it in a couple of years. The City of Hutchinson did the same thing with Hutch School District earlier this spring. We utilized some of the county's DARE funds to help with that, and we'll be doing that again this year as well. We're hoping to serve approximately 205 students in the GSL School District. Flat rate for supplies is approximately $2,600, and then there will be a flat rate of $25 per hour for instruction and prep time. We're anticipating total cost of approximately $6,000. That may fluctuate a little bit depending on the exact number of students that are enrolled.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
I'll move to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Nagel to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Smalls. Is there any discussion? This is an old program, Tim, isn't it? I mean, this has been going on for a long time. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah. And it's been pretty much proven to be successful,
Yep.
in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, and especially now, granted that he's doing it as a contractor, not as a deputy or licensed peace officer, but the engagement with students is really important right now with our current climate.
And when it went away for that brief period of time, the school districts missed it, at least in my opinion.
Correct.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Second item is consider approval to sell a 1998 Chevy passenger van through Fahey Auctions in Glencoe. We purchased that van from Sibley County in 2015 for $2,500. With the purchase of the rescue vehicle, that van doesn't get used and it just takes up good space.
Move to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Nagel to approve the sale. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
This is going to go on the Fahey auction, is that correct? Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thanks.
Veteran Services, Jim. Morning, Jim.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm here today in my role as your liaison to the McLeod County Veterans Association. For the general public and the newer commissioners, the Veterans Association is a nonprofit that consists of the 8 legions, 3 VFWs, and the Disabled American Vets chapter. They are a nonprofit that one of their primary functions is oversight of our veterans transportation program. Under agreement with the county, they provide that oversight. They also are involved in determining when it's time to purchase another vehicle. The county holds the donated funds that are collected to replace the vans through finance. And so they make a recommendation, comes to the board for approval to release those funds. So those are dedicated funds from donations. They are not county or levy dollars. Specifically for consideration today is to purchase a 2019 Ford Flex SEL from Stephen Yeltser of Waconia at a cost of $34,000 plus motor vehicle tax and license fees. That'll come out of this dedicated fund, and the dollars are there. This is currently an unprogrammed purchase. Normally we put those out through the capital improvement plan. As a little bit of a review, the program started in 1992 with a minivan, expanded to an Econoliner, and then eventually a Dodge Sprinter, 10-passenger capacity as the needs grew over time. In 2016, when we decommissioned the Sprinter, we switched to a Ford Flex all-wheel drive. Lumping lots of people in a vehicle to go down and sit at the medical centers for an entire day and then all ride back together was not a model that the riders appreciated, and made some long days for our drivers as well. So we currently have 2 Ford Flexes and a recently purchased Ford Transit Connect, which was purchased with the earlier round of COVID dollars. And due to COVID-19 restrictions, we've changed that from loading a bunch of people up in a van, driving down, waiting at the medical centers, to individually transporting veterans to wherever their appointments happen to be, meeting the COVID restrictions of both the medical center and the general public transportation rules that are currently in place. That's worked very well for us. The all-wheel drive flexes are really nice when you're operating on township roads and county highways, usually shortly after the highway department's been out in the middle of the winter. Both the riders appreciate the wide doors our older veterans climbing in and out of. The drivers really appreciate the maneuverability, especially in adverse conditions. However, Ford no longer makes, starting with the 2020 year, the Ford Flex. So the association came across this vehicle that's available with 22,000 miles on it, 2019, the last model year. It matches what we have. Our 2019 currently has 37,000 miles on it. Available as a private sale. Normally we purchase our vehicles under state contract. It's not a new vehicle. That's not a possibility. We try to go out for multiple quotes, but you can't find a Ford Flex anywhere in the local area that's got miles like this. People tend to hang on to them, and they're high-mile vehicles versus low-mile vehicles. So after talking to Mike Young, we went and looked at the Blue Book value for a private purchase of this type of vehicle, and the range came out between $33,567 and $36,830. So the $34,000 being asked for this vehicle is on the low side of that range as far as that being done. The recommendation of the Veterans Association is to ask you to release the funds to purchase this vehicle.
Jim, very good report. You pretty much covered it all, except one. This is in addition to the fleet.
Correct. And due to COVID, our model, at least for the foreseeable future, is going away from loading people up in a vehicle. The passengers have really gotten happy with the door-to-door service to be able to get them to and from their appointments. We kind of see from the association standpoint, this is a model we're going to stick to. We just have to have a large enough pool of drivers, which we have, and enough vehicles to meet the need as to where they're going. Since the restrictions have started getting released on access to hospitals and appointments due to the COVID restrictions, we have days where every vehicle we've got is on the road. So this will, one, give us the flexibility to make sure we don't have to turn at least one veteran away. The other piece is when we've got multiple vehicles, it's going to slow down the amount of mileage we're putting on any one vehicle. So it'll sustain the fleet. The only real change in charges that I see is we're paying for tabs for another vehicle. We're just spreading out the maintenance. You know, if you're putting less miles, most of the maintenance is tied to mileage. So if you're putting less miles on multiple vehicles, it'll really extend the life of the fleet.
Maybe I didn't know that they're not tax exempt, huh?
No, we'll pay sales tax just like any other, just like the county does for its other vehicles.
Mr. Chair, there are two things that the board ought to be aware of. Number one, these aren't county tax dollars. They're private dollars. We're the custodian of those, so we still have to use our public means of making purchases. What my concern was that this was an arm's length transaction. There was no relationship between the buyer and the seller. It's not somebody's Uncle Joe who's trying to dump a vehicle. And I've been assured that it's an arm's length transaction. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. With all that, I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of the 2019 Ford Flex from the Veteran Service budget.
Second.
Motion seconded by Commissioner Nagel. Is there any more discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
I had the pleasure of sitting with 4 of the drivers at our county employee event last Thursday, and I want to relay the message that they spoke highly of the Flex. They think the Flex really fits the needs that they have, easier for the drivers, easier for the people, the riders. So I hope we can approve this request and have good luck with our actions.
Maybe we should send this to Ford so they keep making the flex.
Yeah, what's the?
Yeah, the long-range replacement, as
Yeah,
we
what
watch
is-
for things that are going to be challenging down the road,
And that's what I was
something
gonna
that's
ask.
comparable.
I was gonna ask, what is the plan in the future? Not
Well,
that-
luckily, if we go with this one, we've got some time to continue to look at that, and you're exactly right. The people that have them hang on to them. So obviously, it's something, a corporate decision they made on where they're going forward, but we'll continue to look for something that's comparable and in the same price point.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
I can't let you run away without the fair's coming up starting Thursday, and it's a Veterans Day on the 19th, so it's my shameless way of putting in a plug that all veterans admission is free for that day, and you can go ahead and say where you're going to be located, and hope to see everybody there.
Well, now that the fair's back in session again after a skipped year, we'll be in the commercial building for the duration of the fair, fully manned for the day that the veterans are there. We'll be involved from the flag raising ceremony in the beginning to the veterans parade at 5:30 on that Thursday. And then Sunday is our annual Beyond the Yellow Ribbon welcome back ceremony at the beginning in the grandstand just prior to the demolition derby. So when we'll be there every day, all day. Come out and say hi.
Right. Thanks, Jim.
Mr. Chair, if I may, one note about the Veteran Services vehicles. This program started with Dick Ginty and a number of other veterans back in the mid-'80s. And we helped them put together the agreement, and it's been going strong ever since. Many of these vehicles are being financed through the charitable contributions, through charitable gambling and things like that, out of the local groups.
Yeah, the veterans groups donate. We have individual citizens that will send us a check for $25 once a year. We've got one retired state trooper that every time he comes in to get new tabs for his vehicle, he stops and writes a matching check for the van program. So it's something that's, again, supported completely by donations on the purchase side as opposed to having to use levy dollars.
We'll keep that trooper in new vehicles so we can.
Yeah, and make sure his taxes are in a good and high. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day. Public Works, John.
We take donations too, by the way. So. First item to consider approving a quote from Stiley Construction out of Silver Lake for $34,800. It should read not $34,000, but $34,800 for relocation of a portion of the county fiber optic line that runs along 212 east of Glencoe, and that's coming out of the capital assets budget. We did have 4 other quotes ranging from $42,000 roughly to $60,000, $61,000, give or take. The relocation is necessary because we are a utility in MnDOT's right-of-way, and with the J-turn project coming up next year, we need to relocate that utility out of the way of the construction limits. So that's
And I
why
did ask you that question, John, because I wasn't clear. We're like a guest.
we're
I
a
like
guest in
that.
MnDOT's right-of-way,
Yeah.
just as if other utilities, when they run along our right-of-way, when we need them to move. Yeah.
And we knew this was coming as part of the project.
Correct.
So I'd move to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Nagel, second by Commissioner Smalls. Any more discussion?
Just noting the 34,800, correct?
Yes,
Correct.
34,800. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item B is to consider approving an application on Resolution 21 CB25 for $750,000 of Transportation Economic Development Infrastructure Grant Funds, also called a TEDI grant, and that's from the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development. This is for the County State Highway 5 project that we're looking at doing between Conroe 1 and Conroe 9 in Winston. So similar to when we apply for LRIP grant money, this is another program offered through DEED. We weren't successful in the LRIP application for that road. Hopefully we can be successful with a TEDI grant. Winston has offered resolutions of support similar to what we're doing. This program has only $2.9 million available statewide, so it is pretty competitive. They selected the $750,000 because that's what past successful applications have been about. So hopefully we can get that get some funds for that. We do have that job programmed in the 5-year plan for 2023, and we'll still keep pursuing other funding sources to lower that cost.
So we're applying along with Winstead. We're both.
Yeah, we'll be the applicant, but then Winstead's offering resolutions of support and a lot of the background data, their businesses, generating businesses and everything along that corridor, which is happening now. So it's hopefully it'll be a favorable application.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
Move to approve support and support for the resolution 21-CB-25.
Motion made by Commissioner Smalls. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Wright. Any more discussion?
Just a question on
Go
that. You said it's a pretty tight fund balance there that we're going after. Would they come back and award less than $750, or is it $750 all or not?
I think they've awarded less in the past, yeah.
Just curious. Thanks.
Any more discussion?
John, long-term, what impact is this going to have on County Road 9 and the need to update County Road 9 from Winstead to Highway 7?
I think when we do the extension project, certainly from that point on 9 into town, we would look at upgrading. South of there, I mean, that road's coming due for just pavement condition alone, also narrow. But then we also have a parallel road on County Road 1 a couple miles away. So, I think it's farther down the line with priority, because I think a lot of these folks will use the extension, and now with the new roundabout coming at Highway 7 and 1, it'll be a safer intersection. So I think it'll funnel people over to 1. But 9 has some need down the road.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item C is consider approving a quote from Schmidt Curb Company Incorporated. They're out of Elk River for the installation of a new courthouse parking lot exit on Judd Avenue. Cost based on unit price, this estimated fee $10,650, and that money is in the courthouse building budget. And we also had another quote from Hanson Vossick out of Hutchinson for $11,450. This Schmidt Curb Company is currently in town. They're the subcontractor doing a lot of the curb work for the city's 10th Street project. So timing fits in with them, price fits in, and that was the direction you guys wanted to go to clean up that access point on 10th Street. So with the 10th Street project, the exit for the courthouse is getting removed. This would install the new exit onto the newly built Judd. And Kenny Polifka, or Ken's Excavating, we've already hired him to do the removals for that at a price of $1,550.
It's safety-wise alone, it's better. I used the lot a lot, and going out with Judd there, right alongside of Judd, there's been a couple of times, I wouldn't go so far as call them near misses, but confusion on who's turning in which driveway. So I think it's going to be a safer exit. And with that, I'll make a motion to approve the $10,650 from the courthouse funds to do the work. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Luthens. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Last item we did, last item is to consider approval of Amendment 1 for the MnDOT, previous MnDOT LRIP Agreement 1036317. This amendment allows McLeod County to receive an additional $1 million in grant funds for Morningside Project, SAP 43615-013, which is burned in everybody's head by now, that number, right? And as you know, so previously we've had $2.35 million allocated from the legislature a couple sessions ago. We requested an additional $1 million at the last session, and then we were successful and received that. So this is what the amendment would do to allow us to get the extra $1 million.
Board, any questions for John?
Move to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Wright to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded by Commissioner Smalls. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Matt. Morning, Matt.
Good morning. Here to request consider approval of renewal of QLIS virtual line software from QLIS of Pasadena, California for 1 year for a total of $10,800 using funds from the information technology budget. QLIS is used here at the Government Center for managing customer lines and appointments in the License Center, Auditor Treasurer's Office, Assessor's Office, Recorder's Office, and Veteran Services.
Questions for Matt?
Move to approve.
Motion made to approve by Commissioner Wright. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Smalls. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Consider approval of statement of work from Syntax of St. Paul, Minnesota for professional services for $1,175 using funds from the information technology budget. These professional services are for support of our Citrix environment, which is used by public health and the Meeker McLeod Sibley Community Health Services.
Move to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Nagel to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Luthens. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Matt. Have a great day. Mr. Young.
Thank you, Chair. This item is before the court to consider a final settlement with Ron and Catherine Blazinski for a condemnation action on County Road 15, just south of Highway 7. This is a rural residential property. We took some trees, and the issue really became what was the impact on the value of the house, what was the impact on the value of the entire property. There's a good deal of risk, as is shown by the fact that our appraiser came up with a value for the trees of $2,700. Their appraiser was over $18,000. Our final, they were requesting about $46,000 total. So what I did is I met with your engineer and with Commissioner Schmalz, went through what the options were, and the recommendation is to approve this settlement of $7,500. It's an elimination of risk. We have a jury trial set for August 31st. And I've sent you all the final arguments that were presented to the condemnation commissioners at the condemnation hearings.
I do have a question now. Is this just our recommendation, or is this will this be the settlement?
This is it. This is done.
This is done.
Right. There were 5 parcels that went to, well, there were 6 that went to the condemnation hearing. 5 of those 6 have appealed. This is the second of the 5 that is coming before you for a final settlement. The Schultz one was the other one. You'll have 3 that we have to consider and that are set for jury trial the end of November.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
Attorney Young explained it very well, and with that, I would move to approve the settlement as presented.
Motion made by Commissioner Smalls to pay the settlement of $7,500 using funds from highway construction budget. Is there a second?
Second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we need to enter into a closed meeting. Someone want to make a motion to, we will review the calendars, and we will open after the closed meeting.
Move to go into a closed meeting.
Second. Motion made and seconded to go into a closed meeting. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.